I recently finished one of Cesar Millan's books. Do you know who that is?
The guy who trains dogs.
Yeah.
Yes, wrote a book.
He's written a few books, and Florina mentioned him when we talked with her.
Yes,
About
in our
dog
podcast, in our
training.
behavioral podcast. Yes.
Yeah. He's the celebrity dog trainer. Very Hollywood, very popular when I was growing up. He's all about calm, assertive energy. It's very different, probably, when you are a TV star and you're making episodes that are full of drama and this dog bites and this one is too scared and in the dog psychology center and the humans need rehabilitation as well. And like there's, it's like all these storylines and stuff. So I think the methods of what it actually takes to help make behavior change probably gets a little bit diluted from the entertainment value of that. So I kind of dismissed the science behind it until picking up this book, which has been very interesting on its own. I think the book is about 20 years old already too, but it's all the same sort of principles that it takes to become calm and assertive as a human, and then how that can be reflected in your animal, because animals are the mirrors of the people that they're around. It's
Of their owners.
Yeah, it's just hard for people to look into the mirror, let's say, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. So since I was reading this, I did a little bit of YouTubing as well to supplement, and I wanted to tell you about a specific scene that he writes about in the book as well. And there were these two Great Danes, which are massive dogs, gentle but massive, and they were nonstop barking. They appeared to be aggressive to humans other than their owners. Any visitors, anyone new, anyone walking, any other dog, just bark, 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 bark. And what can sometimes look like aggression is really fear instead. And these two dogs were in their own little pack, but their owners were also kind of timid. So like no one really is the leader of that,
yes.
of that dynamic.
Which is similar in humans as well. Aggression often masks fear.
Yeah. And they never bit anyone. So Caesar comes in, and it takes minutes to just kind of calm these two down, but show how fearful they actually are, because they don't know where they're being led to or through. So that's their instinct, to try to take over that leading role, but also that's not their default. So there's a lot of work done on how to become more comfortable with a human who does know how to lead, okay, in the house and on the street and all of that. But because they're also big dogs and they need a lot of exercise, one of the things the owners wanted them to do was to learn how to swim, but they're also fearful of getting into the pool. So Caesar puts the leash on one of the dogs and just doesn't force him into the pool, the steps. He stays at the top of the steps. Caesar comes into the pool, leash, and he pulls a little so that you can see that the leash is taut. But then the dog starts trying to escape,
Wriggle
shaking.
himself out of it. Yes.
Yeah, there is not evidence yet that it's okay to enter the pool. But it's important that the leash remained tight, but not forcing him to go into the pool. And Caesar said, watch what happens to the brain. And he just held on to the leash, stayed clear that the next thing that he needs the dog to do is just step into that first step of entering the pool. And eventually the dog does. So it's dog steps one leg into the pool, and he relaxed the leash to say, great, that's what I wanted you to do, but you have to do it on your own. But look, there's nothing unsafe about being at the top step, but that's not where we're going to stop. So then added a little bit more pressure to the leash again.
Yeah, as tension. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's a learning. Now learning is kicking in. Okay, the dog knows that he needs to go towards Caesar, the human in the pool, but he really doesn't want to. But okay, that's what it means.
Mhm.
But if you let go of the tension at that moment, it doesn't reinforce what just happened, and it also doesn't
Mhm.
reinforce what the direction is to go. So it takes less time this time for the dog to take another step in, and then eventually he gets into the pool,
Mhm.
and he's a natural swimmer, loves the pool. It's
Yeah,
great
it's all good now.
exercise, all of
Yes.
that, right? So then he is still trying to work his way around and then evaluate whether it is truly safe physically and emotionally too. But it is, and he likes it, and then he gets out of the pool and then they do it again. There is
Repetition.
repetition
Mhm.
now, which is so critical for this. And the pool's a good example because a lot of people teach their kids how to swim or dive, or you might see those moments of hesitation
Mhm.
with any animal or any human. But we can come back to other examples outside the pool, but it may be something intuitive to understand. But the thing that Caesar writes is some people will stop when it looks like when the dog is wriggling out of that, because it looks to the human, or it's personified as, oh, it's not safe and I don't want to hurt them. And he's distressed. And some people will stop trying to stay in that moment, holding that leash tension because they quote, don't want to hurt the dog. And he writes, but you will hurt the dog if you let him stay in that state where it's okay to wriggle out and never face your fear. And he says, a dog would rather face their fear for 10 minutes than to be trapped in that fear for 10 years.
Mhm.
And we can see this in animals, and it happens fast because you can add repetition, you train, and it takes maybe instead of 30 seconds, it might take 2 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But it just was so clear how important it was to reinforce. And I wanted to talk to you about this because, well, this is what we do, but also that moment of hesitation, that it's like just stay in it for a little bit longer and then show that there's nothing unsafe about getting into the pool. People are just, it's hard to do. But if we can think about doing it for animals and other humans, look what happens. It
Mhm.
creates health and balance and purpose.
Mhm. Okay, it's an interesting example.
Mm-hmm.
So a dog trainer tries to get a dog who's afraid of swimming into a swimming pool, and he applies the very basic principles that are true for all animals that you need in order for them to grow or develop or overcome something,
Yeah.
which is steadily applied pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a persistently applied stress.
Yep.
There is no opportunity to get away from the situation, and there's repetition.
Yes.
Three things that I have seen most parents, most people, most workplaces do exactly the
The
opposite.
opposite.
Taking the stress away, making everyone feel something good, or in their interpretation,
Yeah.
feel something,
Yeah.
which is a plague in most emotionally led workplaces today.
Yeah.
It's the minimizing or not applying anything that may seem stressful, immediately drawing back at any sign of perceived pressure or distress, and never repeating anything that felt unpleasant. That's what nobody grows.
Exactly.
That's why the children are weaker. That's why the employees don't grow. That's why nobody has a sense of purpose. That's why no one learns new skills.
Yeah.
Because you just
You
cannot
cannot.
do this without those very basic principles.
For me, it was like, oh gosh, this is so prevalent. It was always
Yes.
prevalent, but now it's so prevalent
Mhm.
everywhere. And what is it? Is it because it also takes patience
Takes patience,
on,
but also takes leading by example. He steps into the pool first, if I understand from
yes.
that description.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he shows that the conditions are safe, but he
Yes.
doesn't create emotional safety for the dog. It's quite the contrary.
No.
He
No.
prevents the dog from backing away.
Yes.
There is no room to escape.
Yes.
The only way is forward, no matter how distressing in the moment it seems to be.
Right.
Yeah, and immediately rewards or shows that every time to push yourself is desirable.
Yeah, another thing about reward, it wasn't that he came into the pool and there was this explosion of, "Oh, good boy," right? The reward
No,
for the brain enough was there's no longer tension on the leash and you can now
for
enjoy
a moment.
for a moment.
Yes,
You can now enjoy the lap and then we're gonna do it again. But like
exactly.
there was no need. You don't wanna over reward
Overpraise, yes, like if it's
either.
something big.
Yeah.
Which again, I think it's interesting because it's exactly opposite to what I have seen for the last 15 years in business and industries working with people. Somehow the world went from growth to protection of momentary feelings,
Yeah.
which we know is the most degrading thing that you can do to any other human. It's, as you said, it seems, or it might feel to someone who's unaware or uninformed, that this type of pressure or behavior is bad because it causes distress in someone.
Mhm.
But as you said, 10 minutes of feelings versus a lifetime of living in fear, for example, or lifetime without developing a skill. Uh, For some reason, like we see this everywhere. I'm sure that every person listening to this
Yeah.
conversation will have their own example, or maybe recognize something that they are doing to themselves or something that they're doing to their children. But yes, I agree, it's prevalent. But I think what is even worse in humans, but you probably don't observe it in animals. Let's cover bits of leadership first.
Okay.
Because now we live in a place where everybody tries to convince everyone that we're all leaders. That's not
Mhm.
true. The vast
Yeah,
majority of
or
people prefer to be led than to be the ones who lead.
but also it's that when you enter a certain professional role that you
Mhm.
automatically become a leader because it's a leadership role, which is also maybe something to clarify as well.
Yes, that's another plague. We can talk about this. It's very often misunderstood, right? And I think that the example you have given of a dog trainer trying to teach a dog how to become familiar and not afraid of swimming anymore is a good example of what leadership is, right? We talk about
Mhm.
those principles, right? You
Mhm.
give an example. It's not about creating safe space for feelings.
Mhm.
It's creating a space of constant tension, of constant repetition or ability to repeat, and without giving a way to escape. And as you said, it takes patience, it takes persistence, and that's what real emotional intelligence is. It's not about making someone feel something. That's manipulative. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of leaders today confuse motivation or manipulation tools with what leadership actually is. And if we talk about leadership as it exists in animal kingdom and humans as well, as the set of behaviors that induce conscious or subconscious following in other people, I very rarely see those types of behaviors today in most business leaders,
Mhm.
politicians, or it looks like we've completely moved away from what it is. That's where those examples stand out. And this is also
Yeah.
why those very basic principles, as you said, often show up. Suddenly you need an expert to teach very basic things to your dog. And the reason for this is because you're just unable to do it yourself, because you mistake the perceived distress as harm,
Yes.
which is absolutely not the case. It's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
And your lack of consistency or backing up at every sign of distress or response to your either request or demonstration of skill teaches people who are able to back off that preserving your momentary emotional safety is good for you. And
Mhm.
it isn't. Like,
Mhm.
and if anyone believes it's not the case, there is a reason at the moment where the world faces the largest mental health crisis ever recorded, right? We've never seen anything like it is right now. In some countries right now, mental unwellness is the leading cause of disability. Everything, cancers,
Mm.
cognitive decline, heart disease, the biggest cause of or leading reason for disability is mental health. Never seen anything like it.
So then what do we do about this, right? If we keep using this Great Dane in the pool example,
Yeah.
first it takes the trainer to the leader to kind of ground themselves too, right? It's not that he was entering the pool and he was on his phone and he's got other things going on, right? There's only one thing that the trainer's focused on at that moment.
Your attention and focus is your most valuable resource.
Yeah.
Yes, it's how you direct it will have profound impact on your ability to lead.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about maybe self-leadership first.
So the first thing is, if attention and focus is the important tool
Mm-hmm.
that you need to master using and directing
Mm-hmm.
in order to lead, look at what takes away your attention or what steals your attention
Yeah.
and how. This is a very distracted world right now,
Yeah.
where a lot of people are conditioning themselves to be distracted. I see this even in my children, when they're sometimes unable to spend 10 seconds without reaching for the phone. 10
Yeah.
seconds in silence is uncomfortable enough that they need a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, each time they do this, they train themselves to give their attention away at any side of discomfort. Well, if you do this and you question or ask yourself, why is it difficult for me to become the leader in my new job?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's number one.
And it's possible to practice it, right?
Well, it's a skill.
Yeah.
It's a skill and it needs to be practiced. At the moment, most of the people that we observe do the opposite. They
Mhm.
practice giving attention away. So that's number one. The second thing we've already covered. If you are protecting people's feelings momentarily, rather than focusing on their long-term outcomes, it's not going to work. That's not the leader's role.
Yeah.
Which means that when it comes to self-management,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to manage your own emotions becomes a necessary skill.
Yes.
One of the strongest predictors of followership in other people is your ability to remain calm when everyone else isn't.
Yes.
It's an automatic behavior where in any type of a distressful situation, people will be looking towards the most calm person in an emergency, and they will naturally follow.
Yep.
Which tells you that your ability to remain calm under pressure is essential to effective leadership. And there's a reason for this, right? So, I went through surgical training. So a good example would be, like, if you really don't want to be touched by the surgeon who will panic if something during the operation doesn't go the way it
No.
should. You actually want the opposite. We as humans, however, have learned to easily stick labels on people when we see something that others have, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this must be arrogant, cold, distant, unavailable to someone who's calm. We'll immediately label them in that way. In the example that you have given with Caesar, people would say, oh, that's cruel, that's forceful, and so on. So there will be immediate projections and
Yeah.
labeling of the behavior that you observe based on the assumptions that you're making when you see someone doing the right thing in the right way.
There's also a reason why he writes that you need to remain calm, because in a way, calmness sort of is subjective for each individual, but for yourself, you know what that feels like and what it is.
Yeah.
But if you said, okay, you have to go into the pool and you need to apply certain amount of pressure and you need to stand up straight. You need to speak in a certain way. You have to use a certain tone of voice. You have to say words at a certain speed.
Yeah, that's what most coaches do. That's what you have on social media, just the symptom management.
Well, yeah, it's like that's not leadership training. That's why he repeats over and over. And Florina too, by the
Yes,
way, and
yeah.
many other people who kind of figured this out. It has to be calm, but it also needs to be clear that
Yeah, there's no wiggle room.
in the present.
Just one way forward, right?
Yeah. Of course, even if you're experienced, there is always some, let's say, readiness to manage uncertainty.
Absolutely.
It could be that in this example, dog gets into the pool, has no idea how to swim, becomes unsafe, and then you have to get them out of the pool fast.
That's what you need to be ready to intervene.
To be ready for, but not focused on that hypothetical outcome.
Yeah.
So you have to be this very, very present, calm energy as well. And if you have other worries or things going on about those hypothetical futures that may be likely or not, like it doesn't really matter, then that will affect your ability to become calm.
I think you touched on something very important. People will often look to fix the symptoms rather than the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not calm. Maybe I'll have a drink before a presentation, right? It's just plainly stupid.
Yeah.
It feels in a certain, again, this is the inability to self-regulate and manage your own emotional states.
Yeah.
People look for shortcuts. Oh, I need to have this tone of voice. No, those things will happen naturally when you will reach a certain level of confidence, certain level of competence. So there are different causes that prevent you from being that person that results in you appear or present yourself in a particular way. But most of us, try to address the wrong thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know how to sell myself. Therefore, I need to use these words. I need to go. There's an entire industry built around this. People who will give you solutions to
Mhm.
those symptoms.
Mhm.
And everyone who tried them knows that they don't work if they keep paying and wasting their time, money, and energy on those things because they don't understand where the root problem is. And as you said, it very often starts with yourself first. And I think this is one of the biggest things that we see when we talk to people is that people think that leadership starts with getting other people to do something. It's exactly the opposite. It starts with getting yourself doing or thinking certain things first.
Yep.
And without this, you cannot move forward.
It's byproduct, right?
Exactly.
I
It's a
have
consequence.
I'm thinking about an example in my own career
Hmm.
where I was the wriggling Great Dane, but it wasn't as, let's say, dramatic as that.
Yeah.
But when I moved to a team that required a lot more presentations, part of the regular meetings was to practice. And I had a great manager. She would encourage how to do this in a very natural way. She wasn't that, oh, I'm going to present it now, and then you're going to do exactly like I am doing it, right?
Hmm.
But she didn't give that wiggle room, let's say. It had to be done now, and the only way to make it better was
Is
to be
overcome
done
something. Yes.
on the spot. And she knew that for some of us on the team, that is the fear that you have to face, right?
Yep.
And also you need to make sure that she as the leader can also trust you
Yeah.
to do this when it matters, when it's not in front
Yeah.
of the team.
Exactly.
But it wasn't, okay, we're going to meet and today we're going to go around and we're going to practice
Yeah.
presenting. That's not the point. You don't follow someone like that. You know what the expectations are, you know it's coming. And it was,
Yeah.
do it right now.
And that's what the safe space is, which
Mhm.
is completely misunderstood in pretty
Mhm.
much every workplace I've ever worked. Because the safe
Mhm.
space is an environment where the distress is introduced deliberately,
Mhm.
yet it is okay or safe to fail
Yes.
because there's someone who will lift you up.
Yeah.
It is completely different to the completely misconstrued and misperceived the concept that a safe space is a place where you feel safe. It's exactly opposite. A safe space is a place where you feel under pressure and potentially unsafe, yet there is a safety network that shows something happen, it's okay to fail.
Discomfort doesn't mean unsafe.
Yes, but it's very often misunderstood. And the more emotionally led, as I call it, a workplace, the worse it looks like. And what is interesting is that the people who are often responsible for creating the most unhelpful workplace environments ever, they are the people who do not see that they are often the problem because they are teaching people how to be helpless and how to prevent them from growing and developing. And this has been going on for the last 15 years or so. The reason I find it interesting is that we knew or how 2000 years ago it was first described, people were taming animals way longer than that, way longer before science became a word.
Yeah.
And they have been implementing doing this. We've been doing this as humans for millennia. And for some reason, relatively recently, we started stepping away from what we know works.
Yeah.
And modern corporate environments quite often are those places where we create incapable people, and then everyone is surprised, oh, where are the new leaders? Quite often, like I've seen leadership trainings that are focused on causing certain types of emotions in people. Now, while I don't dispute that it's necessary, it is necessary for a different reason.
Mhm.
So creating certain emotional states in people is a leadership tool or a leadership's toolkit, but this is not to grow or develop people, is to influence
Retain.
or potentially or motivate or
The opposite.
manipulate them.
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
grow, develop, or create a new set of leaders.
Yeah.
Somehow those things got very, very convoluted. And the most interesting thing is that what we're talking about right now is there's nothing to contest.
Mm-mm.
It's tried, tested, and it works. And every person who deals with animals, every person who is currently in a genuine leadership role or a position
Mhm. Mhm.
knows this really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's studied. This isn't an opinion, right? This is science.
Just a couple of weeks ago, I was having a coffee and I was watching a mother and another woman observing a child that was playing. The kid was barely able to walk. And the women were clearly, one was, let's say, angrily scolding the other for having the wrong type of approach. But the situation was something like this. The two people were observing a child who was trying to pick himself up, take a few steps and fall.
Mm-hmm.
And one, well, I assume it was the mother, was just standing and watching the kid pick himself up, take a few steps and fall, and then do this again. And the other woman looked slightly older. She was constantly scolding her. You cannot do this. You have to look like he's, this is gonna hurt. Are you okay? Are you okay? Look at him. He's about to cry.
Mm.
And that was interesting to observe because she was clearly assuming that the other parent is cruel
Interesting.
or stubborn. She was all over the place. She was
Not calm.
emotionally
Not
completely
calm at all.
uncalm. While the
Mhm.
mother, I found it very interesting that one person intuitively knew that the way to get the kid to walk is not to give him comfort or prevent him from falling. But the other one didn't. Now, I made a lot of parenting mistakes. They're similar to that because there is some sort of an instinct that you see your own child in distress. You want to
Mhm.
comfort them. But we also know from the evidence that it's not necessarily something that you should be doing. Often, if your goal is to raise capable and independent children,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're just reinforcing the momentary feeling rather than the long-term growth and development, which is
Yeah.
painful
Yeah.
because all growth happens outside of your comfort zone.
That's right. Yeah. This is also written in the book, by the way, as an example of the long-term consequences of doing that over and over.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's the same for what you would do for animals too.
Yeah, we are animals after all.
For non-human
Non-human
animals.
animals,
Yeah.
yes. I think that we just have this ability to very quickly pass on judgments if there is something that causes an emotional state in us on other people.
Yeah.
Because it's always easier to assign a blame to someone else than to look at yourself and say, well,
Yeah.
I'm unable to do this, so that I blame someone else or give a label to someone else.
Yeah.
But yes, so nobody teaches us how to parent. I understand that. But in a workplace, there should be no room for that. Yet there is.
So yeah, there's the leadership side, but then there's also the dog's side. And in the moment, the dog knows that there's a leash around its neck and there's the leader in the pool, but all of that kind of has to melt away in order for him to actually move forward and take the step forward. It's like no one else can do it for him. And at some point, the brain sort of surrenders into it in a way. There is no other choice but to take the next step.
Only if in the presence of a genuine leadership,
Yes,
though.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
It's so fast though. It does have this buildup of anxiousness. It could be easy for people to be influenced by the dog's energy, but you just also need to step out and it's simply just that's what the brain and body are doing. They're kind of fighting almost in a way. Like you have to take the step because that's what you're being asked to do. And over time, make it shorter and shorter and shorter. Also, the emotions or the actual adrenaline or the chemical responses are going on physiologically in the dog don't last that long anyway. He wouldn't stay in that state for longer than physiologically possible anyway. You just have to maintain the pressure in the space. But
A dog wouldn't,
yeah,
but a human will keep going back and keep replaying this in their head, sometimes deliberately,
Yeah.
keeping themselves in that state. Humans are really good, well, really bad actually at
Yeah.
doing something,
That's why I
the
think
most stupid
it's,
thing they can.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. But if you just like let all those other stories go and you feel something and then you keep yourself in that loop of why you might, like, it doesn't matter. You're just constantly wriggling. Like, it will be so much faster than just facing it, thinking, okay, I can do this. And then you just take just literally the next step.
That's it. That's all it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah. And I really liked the way he said that. It was people stop because they think they're hurting them, because maybe they don't know how to be calm, or maybe they don't know how to do it for themselves because it is difficult, or they're also trying to avoid discomfort as well.
Exactly. It's emotional reasoning.
Yeah. But he says you are hurting the animal if you let them stay there.
Of course.
Which,
it's like with going to the dentist. It's a 10 minutes of unpleasantness to prevent you from, months of pain and then losing a tooth, for
Yeah.
example. It's
Yeah.
it's exactly the same
yeah,
principle.
it's exactly the
Yeah.
same. So, yeah.
And humans are really good to doing stupid things to themselves and or to others.
Yeah.
And then labeling it or describing it or putting a story around it to
Mhm.
pretend that it's the good or desirable
Yeah.
thing to do. It isn't.
Yeah. A lot of people are in that state where there's distraction. Of course, there's things that happen in life that affects your ability to remain calm all the time. But if someone is used to not being calm,
Mhm.
you just also have to start slow with this too and take a step, right? You need to give yourself some time, eliminate the things that prevent you from being calm. It's okay to put yourself in that state so that you remember what it is like to be calm.
Yeah. It takes practice, it takes competence, takes repeated exposure. Yeah, but it comes from deep competence, not illusion of skill. Yeah, that's a very interesting. I'd like to see the video. Maybe we can link it.
Calm, assertive energy. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Solutions Manual podcast. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment, or share with your favorite brain.